and welcome to gorgeous, sunny, skirt weather, shorts, biking for the Northwest. We're always excited when we have this kind of weather here in the Northwest because we don't get it that often.
Pound for pound, day for day, hour for hour, we've got the most gorgeous summer on the planet.
True, absolutely. In fact, one of the things I love about my garden is I don't use any pesticide or weed control, so you have to be out there weeding. You absolutely have to be kneeling, grabbing, chasing cats, smelling flowers, and it is pure joy. So it's a beautiful day, and I think some Northwesterners are playing hooky because I saw a lot of bike riders today.
I don't blame them.
And I hope they are playing hooky. I hope they're having a gorgeous time in our beautiful sunny weather. Because you're right, when the sun shines here, this, I think, is one of the most breathtaking places on Earth. It is truly stunning here, of course, all the great rain. And I understand that Barack Obama just left the Northwest. He was here.
He was here, yeah. He was here a couple days ago. And just here to do a little fundraising and do a little meet and greet and that sort of thing. So now I think he's back in D.C.
Ah, yes. So I heard he was hanging out with the Costco people and trying to get some cash from the Costco folks for his.
He needs all the help he can get,
right.
you know.
Yeah,
the other
true.
side has got tons and tons of money. So.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, I hopefully it will be our prediction or my prediction and Christopher Renstrom's prediction that Barack Obama will win the election again. But of course, we always ask that whoever can be the best person for the universe and for the earth plane, to hold office and move us all in our highest good.
I sure wish we could do something where, we could just get rid of all the campaign money. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Just have it just even and just have them go on TV and debate, and then that's how people would form their ideas about the candidates. They're actually sharing their ideas rather than having a bunch of money spent on negative ads and all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I don't think that's very productive.
Maybe what we could do is have them penalized. Whoever makes a negative ad has to send like $100,000 to, I don't know, Haiti, some other Afghanistan, someplace, build a brand new school, feed a village. Maybe that's what we could do.
Like a swear jar.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Just like that.
That would be great.
I think that's a great idea. Well, we hope that wherever you are in your part of the world, whether it's day, night, breakfast, lunch, the weekend, or a weekday, we hope that it's beautiful for you and that you're enjoying your wakeful hours. And maybe if you're sleeping, you're going to listen to this first thing in the morning. We hope that you rested well. Today, I get to interview another guest, one of my favorite things to do on the show, and I get to interview Alan Cohen. I had the pleasure of meeting him just recently at the Sun Valley Wellness Festival at a party that we were both attending. I actually did see him speak, and that was also lovely and informative. I know all of you are going to enjoy him. If you've read all of his books, I'm sure you're going to find the interview very interesting as you find out more about him personally. But if you haven't read his material on one of his newest books, Enough Already, which has been making Alyssa and I laugh as we went over questions today, really funny, cute stories in it, interesting and informative. So Alan Cohen is the author of 24 popular inspirational books and CDs, including the best-selling The Dragon Doesn't Live Here Anymore, the award-winning A Deep Breath of Life, and the classic Are You As Happy as Your Dog? Okay, I really want to read that book because dogs are incredibly happy.
Most of them.
Most of them?
I've seen some sad hound dogs, yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen any yet so far. He is a contributing writer for the New York Times and #1 best-selling series Chicken Soup for the Soul, and his books have been translated into 24 foreign languages. His work has been featured on Oprah.com and in USA Today, The Washington Post, and 101 Top Experts. Alan's radio show, Get Real, is broadcasted weekly on Hay House Radio, and his monthly column for The Heart is featured in magazines internationally. Welcome to the show, Alan.
Hello, Marie. I'm delighted to be with you.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you. And you're in, of course, always gorgeous Maui, Hawaii.
Yes, somebody has to do it.
Yeah, that's what you say every time I bring that up. So you're clearly suffering, poolside.
Oh, not in the least.
So even as you do, that's a wonderful thing about radio, too, is you can be anywhere in the world and do radio. So you do your Hay House shows from Maui.
I sit in my shorts and T-shirt, and I look at green things and birds, and I talk to people in Pakistan and South Africa. It's an amazing time we're living in.
Oh, that is one. Well, they're very lucky to have you, all of them. Yeah, really, the latest book, Enough Already, is really quite funny. And what I love about the topic, too, is it could mean so many things.
Uh-huh.
So one of my curious questions for you is, what has inspired you to write so many books and produce CDs? that you
Well,
have?
really, all of my books come out of my own journey. I'm a divine being, and I'm a human being, and I'm learning and growing. So each of the books represented an insight or a level I came to. And about a year or two ago, I came to this place in my life where I thought, if it's not enough now, it never will be. So I made it my ongoing meditation and practice to start finding enough right where I stood. And it's been one of the most illuminating and healing practices of my life, and actually culminated in that book, which I kind of says it all, at least for me.
Right. And it can be enough already, like, let's stop complaining, it's enough, right? And it could be enough already, I have enough.
Yeah, it's kind of a play on words.
It really is. It is quite lovely. So what inspires you then is your own experiences and your own learning?
Yes, life inspires me. I inspire me, especially by my mistakes, because I learn more from my mistakes than from my triumphs. Nature inspires me. My dogs inspire me. Big ideas inspire me. So I constantly have my antenna up for big ideas. And it's just amazing what you can learn walking the earth. Like, you don't have to go to the Himalayas or go to heaven. All the lessons of spirit are right before us. And if we could just kind of suck them in like a vacuum cleaner, enlightenment is not far away.
I think that's very true. I do. So how did you get started in the field of spirituality?
Taking drugs. Well, actually, no, I'm just playing with you. That was just a part of it. When I was a kid, I had some mystical experiences, and then as a young man, at actually 14, I adopted Orthodox Judaism as my religion. And then when I was 21, I was part of the consciousness explosion. I did take drugs, but that was just for a short period. But I never took drugs just to space out. I always took them for illumination. I'm not recommending them now, of course, but that was just a phase a lot of us went through.
So you're hanging out with Ram Dass or sharing notes now that you both live on the same island of the drug days.
Yeah, I actually see him quite a bit, and neither of us take drugs anymore. We don't recommend it. But, it was a part of the journey. And, I think if you're looking for healing, you'll find it through whatever means you believe in. In those days, drugs were the way. And, of course, there's better ways to do it. But, like I said, spirit is everywhere. And if you're looking, you'll find it.
So that's what inspired you, with some early on experiences that you couldn't describe or explain?
Well, it's really gradual. I mean, every 7 years in my life, or 14, I've had big shifts. I'm sure you see this in your own life and clients, where you meet a guru or a teacher, you have a method, and you milk it, and then you play it out, and then the next thing comes. And I feel like I'm guided by grace. I think I love that word, grace. It's my new favorite word. It means that the age of struggling and suffering and trying and working and sweating is giving way to the recognition that we are loved, that we do deserve healing, that spirit is present. And if I can just relax and quit trying to save my butt, I might discover I'm already saved.
Yeah. Oh, that's so lovely. That's lovely.
Does that make any sense to you?
It does. But I've seen you in front of an audience, so I know that you also take it quite seriously. Because I've seen you contemplate when someone has a question and you're helping them to get to the answer, which is another beautiful chapter that you have in your book about how we already know. We're our best psychic, our best guru, and all of those lovely things. So I've seen your compassion and your devotion to that person who's standing in front of everybody else, being very brave, but also kind of desperate for a solution to something that's been driving them crazy for a really long time.
Yeah. Well, my compassion arises from my own pain. I mean, I have struggled with lots of stuff. I've had fears and upsets and relationship challenges and fears about money, and I mean, all kinds of stuff over the course of my life, and I've struggled with that stuff. And when somebody in the audience stands and says, I have this pain, I feel with them, I feel for them, and why not help the guy out if you can? And so it's my intention to serve people to learn their lessons by virtue of the lessons that I've learned.
Lovely, lovely. So who have been some of your role models? Well,
I met Ram Dass when I was 21 many years ago, and to this day, he's 80 years old now. He lives about 2 miles from me, and he still remains a model of a guy with a big heart who's connected to spirit, who's really helped a lot of people. I studied with a mystical master in New York for 14 years. Her name was Hilda Charlton.
Mm.
She's an American who lived in India for many years and came back, and she gave me an incredible foundation of integrity and connection to higher power and discipline. She was a strong teacher, and I am so blessed to have learned with her. I've been doing A Course in Miracles since 1981.
Wow.
Which has changed my life to the extent that I practice it. And then I have 5 dogs that model joy and wake me up with kisses and roll over on their back for me to rub their belly, and they teach me joy on a daily, almost hourly basis.
I know. What is it with dogs? I mean, really, you could even be upset with them, something that they did in the corner of the house that they're not supposed to be doing. And then 5 seconds later, they're jumping all over you, licking your face, doing somersaults practically in the air. I mean, they are just incredible models for us.
They're unconditionally loving. They're innocent. They're connected to spirit. They just want to be happy and play. And I wrote this book, Are You as Happy as Your Dog, many years ago, like 17 years ago. And to this day, when I watch my dogs in action, I realize that they're very connected to God, and they're modeling how fun life could be if we let it.
Wow. Wow. And so were you planning on having 5, or did it just...
No, God planned it.
Did they show up at the house? Or
No. Well, sort of. We had a little girl dog, and then we got a little boy dog, and the vet said that he was too young to mate. But he didn't get that memo. So one night we heard a squeal in the kitchen, and we walked in, and there were the 2 dogs stuck together. And I thought, oh, my goodness. And so nature ran its course, and 9 weeks later we had 3 puppies, and we thought, we'll give them away. But we totally fell in love with them, and by the time 8 weeks came, we couldn't imagine parting with them. And we said, well, we can't have 5 dogs, but we do. That was 4 years ago.
Oh.
And we just love them more every day. So God had a bigger idea than we did.
Oh. So you have this really nice dog family in your family.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't have any biological children, so they are fulfilling my parenting needs and my beloved partner Dee's parenting needs, and so it's a really nice gift to our at this stage of our lives.
Oh, that's absolutely lovely. Yeah, I'm going to pick up that book because it looks wonderful. I often talk to people about the difference of, I'm kind of a cat person, although my oldest daughter just moved back in the house for a while and brought her Pomeranian that wakes me up at 5:30 in the morning by licking my face and jumping all over me. And it is quite a difference between the cats that are just kind of, yawning and stretching and telling you they don't like their cat food, compared to the dog that'll pretty much eat anything that's on the floor or on your plate.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard the difference between cats and dogs? Do you know what this is? It's kind of a joke, but it's kind of true. That a dog says, you feed me, you house me, you love me, you take care of me, you must be God. And a cat says, you feed me, you house me, you care for me, you love me, I must be God.
Right. Yeah, that would be my house, definitely. Yeah, that's totally my house. That's lovely. Absolutely lovely. So one of the things that you've also been inspired to do is to start a program, of Life Mastery program, where you help coach other people, I believe, to be coaches. Is that correct?
Yes. I was doing coaching and seminars for many years, and I realized there were a lot of people who wanted to do the same kind of thing. So about 4 years ago, I established a life coach training program, which has turned out to be a stellar thing for me and for the people. We take about 16 people, we work with them for 6 months, and we train them intensively to become a professional life coach or to incorporate life coaching skills in their current profession or life. And it's such a wonderful program because, A, it gives them a profession if they want it, and B, there's a lot of personal growth because you can't coach unless you're whole. Mm-hmm. So I invite people to, as a healer, you know this, so I invite people to recognize their wholeness and come from spirit, and it's a holistically based program. So it's just a wonderful way to grow personally and then pass that growing along to clients.
Wow. And you have students from around the world that participate in the program.
Sure, yeah.
And I think you have one coming up. Is that true?
Yes, we actually have one coming up starting in September. We have two classes running simultaneously. beginning September 1st. One will hold a retreat in Ojai, California, and one will hold a retreat in Maui, Hawaii, as part of the ongoing training. So if people are interested, they can go to my website, alancohen.com, ALANCOHEN.com, and all the information's right there.
And it's a beautiful website, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of websites, and that is quite a beautiful one. Very lovely. You're welcome. So when I was reading the book, you actually talk about another one of your neighbors, Wayne Dyer. And I was in Hawaii last fall and got to see Ram Dass. He is actually one of the people that I think that touches my heart deeply, just in his presence alone.
Absolutely.
Even when he has a hard time saying a word and he just says, yum, 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 I am touched enormously.
Yeah.
You know, he's has amazing grace. Lovely man. So in the book, you talk about your eating dinner with Wayne Dyer, of course, right? And, you know, when a subject comes up about money, you write in the book, and he literally says, I don't need any more money. And you're thinking, well, yeah, you know, you're a best-selling author. You get paid megabytes per lecture. Of course you don't think you need any more money.
Right.
And then you realize, truly, he just feels that he has enough.
Right. And I learned from that enoughness is not a number in your bank account. It's an attitude. And, I mean, you and I both know people have more money than Wayne Dyer, and they're miserable. And we know people have no money or little money, and they're soaring. And in the book, I talk about this Fijian family that I used to live in Fiji. And we met these people who were just, you know, subsistence poverty, just living in a shack and growing their own food. They had no money. And they were just the happiest people I've ever met. And so I learned from them and Wayne Dyer that enoughness is a kind of lens through which you see your life. And if you can put that lens on, everything becomes enough. If you don't put that lens on, nothing is enough. And it was a great teaching for me, Marie.
Yeah, I think it's a fabulous teaching for all of us, especially us in North America who seem to never have enough. We don't have enough TVs, enough cars. We don't have enough vacations. And one of the things I loved about the economy changing so much, because to me it was a very positive thing, and I think it still is that I think it enticed people who perhaps were working for others or companies they didn't believe in or didn't really want to work in, you know, for that 401k that somehow magically disappeared, you know. And now it allows them to look at, well, what is enough? You know, if I'm working so hard to have enough of something that doesn't even exist, you know, what is enough for me?
That's really well said. Thank you. And, you know, when the economy hit the downturn in 2008, my business was down somewhat for a year or so, and some of my events were canceled, and, you know, the numbers were lower and the income was less. And I ended up spending a lot more time at home than I historically had, and I loved it. You know, I was out in nature, I was with my partner, I was with my dogs, I was meditating, I was praying. I did all the things I did before I grew a business. And I made a vow during that year that when the economy came back, which it has more or less for a lot of people, maybe not everybody, but some at least, that I would retain my priorities. And I would not get too busy. I would not go after the buck. I would not work harder than I needed to. And that year was a turning point for me. I'm so very grateful for it. And I often coach or counsel people who are either unemployed or got laid off or whatever. And I say, use this time. This is a holy time. This is a time for you to set your priorities. This is a time for you to imagine and dream and vision and start new expansive projects. I said, this time has been given to you for a reason. Bless it, milk it, use it. And I think it's good advice.
I think it's absolute advice, and I love how you were able to share that for your own life. You know, when you're meditating, of course, and having dinner with other spiritual teachers, and, you know, that you've been on this quest, you know, as consciously as possible since your early 20s, and to still come to that place like, wow, not working at a pace that you had been is incredibly fulfilling and enough.
Yeah.
More than enough.
There's a new book that's coming out. I haven't read it. It's called The 5 Regrets of Dying People.
Yeah, right. I've heard of it.
It's by a woman who's a hospice worker, and you know I haven't read it yet. I don't even know it's out yet, but I can guess. I'll tell you for sure that one of the regrets is that I didn't spend more time at home or taking care of myself. No, you know, the joke is that nobody on their deathbed says, "I wish I spent more time in the office."
Right.
So why wait till you're on your deathbed to value your family and your health and your well-being and your peace of mind? Why not start it now? It might extend your life, or at the very least, it will extend extend the width of your life, if not the length of it.
Right. And sometimes when you're working so much and you're at a fast pace and you have these goals, you don't even know how tired you are.
Right.
Or how much you miss the 5 dogs or, your partner or whatever the circumstances is for an individual. You're so busy, you just don't realize what your being is calling for.
Now, you're a healer who I really respect. You see a lot of people, you help a lot of people. Do you find, Marie, that a lot of diseases are related to stress and overworking and lack of self-nourishment?
Yeah, I would say absolutely everything you just said, stress, the number one cause of disease. And for people who I look at, it's because they're not listening to themselves about what they really want. And they may be staying in a relationship for decades that doesn't bring them any happiness, or, connected or addicted to a job that also has no fulfillment in it. Or even maybe they want to travel. Maybe they would much rather go stay in hostels around the world and just sit on beaches, and they won't let themselves go play. Right. So, I absolutely, a big part of it.
Yeah, you have to nourish your soul. We feed our body, we feed our mind, we feed our emotions, but how much time a day do each of us take for soul nourishment, where we just soak in life and soak in love? I mean, just 15 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour, if you could do it out of the day, boy, that'll change your whole life.
Absolutely. We're going to take a break here in a few moments, but I was recently reading a post of someone I know who had been out of work for probably a year. And I know when it began, she was really nervous about it, but she had just gotten a job, the job she really wanted for the last 6 years. So I always wonder, wow, did that time off help her to relax and feel good about herself that she was able to attract this dream job? And she was writing on her post, although she's not super excited about going back into the workforce because she's had so much fun, she's grateful that the dream job she's wanted is finally coming true for her. So it's fascinating when you take that time off, or 30 minutes, 15 minutes a day, how you do allow the unlimited of the universe to come in and grace your life.
Yeah,
lovely.
Amen.
Lovely. Well, I'm having the pleasure today of interviewing Alan Cohen, the author of 24 books and CDs, international books, translated in 24 languages. Pretty amazing, Alan. And we're going to take a break here on the Marie Manuchehri Show. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Marie Manuchehri Show. We're live here in gorgeous, sunny, I always say skirt weather, because that's really my favorite attire is skirts. And of course, I actually am not wearing one today. But
I keep forgetting to wear my skirt.
I know.
Too, so.
That's what you keep telling me. Yeah, we have to send you one from Scotland, right?
Yeah, well, that would be a kilt, but yeah, I could get away with it there.
Totally. Well, you can wear it here. We won't complain. No, we'll be so happy if we see you wearing your skirt/kilt. I think it'll be perfect.
Okay.
So today I have the pleasure of interviewing Alan Cohen. I'm sure many of you have heard of him and have read his books. And actually, there's a new documentary. Well, I don't know how new it is actually, but it's new to me. Alan was recently the featured presenter in the acclaimed documentary Finding Joe, celebrating the teachings of visionary Joseph Campbell. So how was that? Was that super fun?
That was really fun. A very creative director put together a lot of visionary people. And he interviewed us about the meaning of following your bliss and the hero's journey, which were Joseph Campbell's contributions, among others. And the coolest part of the documentary is it's not just talking heads. He got a bunch of kids from his neighborhood in L.A., Los Angeles, to dramatize the hero's journey. And his 9-year-old son just steals the whole movie, and I can't tell you anymore. It's just such. Everybody who sees this movie loves it, whether it's kids or elderly people. It's a teaching for all ages. So and it's called Finding Joe, and people can download it or buy it from the website findingjoethemovie.com.
Aww. Oh, it sounds lovely. It really does sound lovely. So in one of the chapters in your book, this is the part I was laughing about so much just recently when I was reading it. You write, whenever I walk through a bookstore, I'm amazed by all the books on the shelves for dummies and idiots. I see Sex for Dummies, Raising Chickens for Dummies, and The Complete Idiot's Guide for Past Life Regression. And of course, I'm just dying laughing because it's really true. And then you talk about what would it be like if you made a book for geniuses? And you think in your mind, at least as you're writing in the book, that people aren't going to be attracted to that. Like we have a hard time thinking that we're wonderful or magnificent or intelligent.
Right.
Yeah. So how do you help your clients and students come to that place of their internal magnificence?
Well, I tell them about my own journey. I actually had a really cool experience recently. We were talking about Ram Dass, and when I said when I was 21, I just fell in love with him. He was like God to me. He just helped me so much, and I had him on a big pedestal. And then he moved here to Maui, and we became friends. And then a couple weeks ago, he invited me to do a webcast with him, which is a big honor.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was approaching the webcast, I found myself approaching it from two different angles. One is I remembered that I was this kind of starry-eyed, starstruck kid who lived, ate, and breathed Ram Dass because he was all I knew about spirituality, kind of looking up to him. And then I also knew my identity as a teacher and a healer and a visionary and a guide in my own right. And I had to kind of choose between who I would be when I sat next to him to do this webcast. So I just chose the second one. That felt a little better to me. And actually it went very, 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 very well. And I was very pleased, and so was he. And it kind of showed me that each of us toggles back and forth between an identity of smallness and an identity of bigness. And we can come from either one if we're willing to choose it and claim it. And so I invite each person to tap into the place inside them that is whole, that is healed, that is powerful, that is smart, that is loving, that is lovable. And it's in there. But we just have to have the guts to come from it and say, this is who I would rather be than some small, sniveling idiot trying to fend my way through life. There's so much more to life, and as we claim it, we have it.
That is so gorgeous. Do you think that's what got you you talk about being in seminars and people ask questions, and like in one of the examples, a woman was asking about her passion, and you said to her, if you knew what your passion was, and I loved this, by the way, if you knew what your passion was, what would you say about it? It was actually a young man, and he, of course, was able to name several things that were about his passion.
Yeah.
So it's like getting in that space and believing in yourself and then asking from that place of knowingness.
Exactly. And everybody laughed because he said, I don't know what my passion is. And I said, well, if you did know, what would it be? And he named off 5 things.
Yeah.
And I had this from another angle. A woman said, I don't know if I should sell my property. And I said, well, let me ask you what you do know. And I said, what flavor ice cream do you like? And she said, what's your favorite color? She said, what's your favorite movie? So I kind of ramped up for 2 or 3 minutes. What's your favorite? Then I said, what do you want to do with your property? She said, I want to sell it.
Wow.
And she had to kind of get into the groove of coming from her passion and speaking her truth. And once she was on a roll with that, she could tap into the answer to any question that involved, where does your passion live?
I think we should ask everyone who's listening today, or who even listens to the podcast later, that they should do this with a question that they have in their own life.
Yeah.
Maybe have a friend help them if they feel insecure about getting to that place. What a great technique.
Yeah. I mean, if I ask somebody a question in a seminar and they say, I don't know, and I say, well, if you knew, what would you say? And they always say.
I know. I got that from your book. It's fascinating.
If you treat people as knowing and you know that they know, they know that they know too. It's an interesting game.
Oh, it's really fabulous. So what have been some of the blocks for you in your own career? What have been your career blocks?
I think fear on various levels and a form of lack of self-worth. I have, as a child and as a young person, I sort of felt like everybody else deserved to be here, but not me. And so I think I had to claim my right to own my space in the universe, to own my goodness, to own my worth, to have the good things I love, and to not have to explain or apologize for my existence. And it's kind of funny. Once in a while, it still crops up. I live on Maui, and there's some nude beaches and some nude waterfalls and stuff like that. And it's kind of interesting, like, if I'm at one of these nude places, let's say out at a waterfall, nobody else is there.
Of course, everyone wants to know where that is right now. You know that.
There's a lot of them, actually, but I'm not telling.
Okay.
and somebody will come. I'll think, well, they shouldn't see me naked, so I'm the wrong one. I should cover myself. And then occasionally, I'll come on somebody who's, naked somewhere inadvertently, and I'll think, well, I shouldn't disturb them, because this is their space. And it's the same dynamic, and I realized that in either case, I was the wrong guy. I had to apologize for being nude. I had to apologize for coming on somebody who's nude. And if I had a healthy belief system, it would be one or the other, or neither. But in both cases, I chose to make myself wrong for my position.
Right.
And, over many, many years, I've come to recognize that voice and challenge it, and for the most part overcome it. It still comes up once in a while, but it's just like this idea of, well, do I really deserve to be here? And I think a lot of people face that in one form or another.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that that is our biggest challenge, that for some reason we have this awkwardness with ourselves. I've been thinking, not exactly in the same reference you have, a little bit, about how we are so particular about the clothes we even choose to put on our bodies, because we want to look a certain way, we want to be appropriate, but we want to be attractive, we want to wear the right colors. And maybe if we all just walked around naked and got comfortable with it, we actually might start to like ourselves better.
Yeah. It's really true. I mean, I've occasionally gone to places where they have nude sunbathing or whatever, not just here, but on the mainland. And, being naked with a bunch of people is very healing, because there's no hiding, and you see what bodies really look like, for better or worse. And you kind of come to terms with, well, this is who I am, take it or leave it. And, we're all in this together, we're all naked together, and spiritually speaking. And so why not just, let it be?
Yeah, exactly. Right. I think that, too, if we are vulnerable, and of course we can leave our clothes on and be that way as well. It's an art, I think, to be really vulnerable, an art form. And then you realize, if we were to look at it from a body perspective, that those cute little rolls, above the hips are not as big as we think they are, or they look just like everybody else's, or because I think we're distracted, many of us, by what we think our body looks like. And all of a sudden we can spend 20 minutes, a half an hour a day thinking about something that isn't really even a part of the experience that you're having throughout the day. It's taking you away from your life experience. Right. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Well, I think how we regard our body is pretty much a metaphor for how we regard ourselves. And I think the real game is to be spiritually naked and to have no hiding places. One of the things I love about Ram Dass, since we're talking about him so much, is that he tells all of his story. He tells stories that embarrass him. He tells stories that are about, not that he's embarrassed, but that would be embarrassing. He tells stories about his humanness. He tells stories about his sexuality. And he just doesn't have any hiding places, and that's so endearing. It's so much more attractive than a spiritual teacher who presents himself as perfect and greater than thou. And, the truth is that we're all human and we're all divine, and let's just own both domains.
Oh, you said that perfectly. That was just beautiful. Thank you so much. So I'm having the pleasure and the honor of speaking with Alan Cohen today. We're going to take a break here on the Marie Manuchehri Show. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Marie Manuchehri Show. We're live here in gorgeous, sunny Seattle. Alan Cohen is in always gorgeous, sunny Maui. It is really beautiful and breathtaking there. It's a stunning place. If you haven't been to the Hawaiian Islands, I recommend that you go there at some point in your life, because they are really beautiful. How long have you lived on Maui?
Since 1986.
Wow, that's a long time.
And I never take it for granted. I appreciate every single day.
Wow, that's amazing. So in reading your book, you talk about one of your nephews who is a Mormon. So I was curious if your family was traditionally Mormon.
No, we were traditionally Jewish. There are not that many Mormon Cohens. But
that's true.
My beloved partner, Dee, came from a Mormon family. So they kind of adopted me and vice versa. So I kind of integrated into their family. So we love each other.
Oh, because I think one of the greatest gifts we can have that you have as a spiritual teacher is, embracing all forms of religion and belief systems, to find the beauty in all that exists. And you spoke so lovely about your nephew taking his first mission, as many young Mormon people do, and how you were praying for him to have a really great experience. And you had these visions of him going to like far off places. And I think he went to Iowa or something like that, not too far from home.
Well, the family was anxiously awaiting where they would send him because you have to go where you're dispatched. And, they were worried, would he go to a weird place? And he wanted to go to Italy. And I thought, well, maybe he should go to Borneo because he was kind of sheltered and he'd learn a lot more there. So I was like going back and forth between where he should go. And I realized that I have no idea where he should go. I don't need to pray for him to go anywhere. So I just prayed for his well-being and let God send him to the right place for him and everybody meets. So the next day they got a letter he was going to Indianapolis, Indiana. So I was like, go figure, not my business.
Did he enjoy himself? Did he have a good mission?
Yeah, as much as you can. It's a lot of work and he has some challenges, but I think he he's almost done now, and I think he grew a lot. I mean, I think it was a very healthy experience for him.
Oh, that is very lovely.
I don't know if he converted many people, but I think he learned a lot, which is valuable.
Of course. And so that really, I didn't realize that's the goal when these young people go on a mission is to convert people to Mormonism.
Ideally, yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you're basically giving the Mormon gospel and trying to influence people. And I don't know, I didn't ask him, but I know he was growing a lot, which is really powerful.
Oh, no, I think it's lovely. I do. So in the essence of spirituality, as we're all kind of spiritually naked right now, as we're talking about that place of vulnerability, which is truly the real essence of power, is when you don't in a way you don't care, where you feel like the nothingness, which is the true expansion of life, in the void. So how can you, or how do you help your students or your clients or those who get to listen to you speak? How do you help them get to that space in a lecture or?
Well, I guess two ways. One is I do my best to model it, and I tell about all of my life, not just the highlights, but the lowlights and how I grew from it. So I try to present myself as a divine being and a human being, which people seem to enjoy. And then I also honor all parts of them, and I don't judge them, and I invite them to talk about what's real and alive and passionate for them and what's true for them. And I give them a lot of encouragement and reinforcement for being exactly who they are without any pretenses. And that's a very powerful teaching technique because people, have been so trained to jump through hoops and play games and impersonate others that when somebody comes along and says, I see who you really are, and I value who you really are, and I love you for who you really are, it's like tears come and laughter comes, and it's like, wow, after all these years, I can really be myself. I mean, that's a very holy moment for most people.
Wow. And so you embody this thing that or this essence, if you will, that you, of course, work on for yourself daily, moment to moment sometimes, as we all do. And you know how to hold that space for the person who's standing next to you or who's in the back of the room who's asked a question so that they can also model that space for themselves.
Exactly. And it's also a frequency, Marie. It's like when people walk into my room, I pray beforehand. I kind of set it up spiritually as much as I can. When they walk into the room and they hear me and they feel my energy, they feel safe. And they feel like, okay, I don't have to pretend here. And and after some people start sharing, they realize that this is not a trying or struggle place. This is an allowing and relaxed place. And in that space of ease and relaxation, souls come forth. People come forth because, they've been beaten and punished so much that by the time, when somebody comes around and says, you're okay as you are, it's such a release that lifetimes or a whole lifetime of energy gets dissipated and healing happens. And I'm sure you see this in your practice as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's beautiful that you hold that energy. I think it even, emanates your own personal energy's ability to have that for yourself when you can hold it for another person. The glow just gets bigger in both people. Yes. The universe that surrounds you then just becomes taller and stronger and seems to smile more. You know, it seems to be easy in that way, in that moment. But it's really, really beautiful. When we spoke, well, actually, I just wanted to point out to people to, of course, listen to you on Hay House. And you do pray before you do a radio show, which is quite lovely. You make a beautiful intention and ground everybody into the show, which is lovely. And you, when we were on the show, or at some point, maybe it was actually when I met you, we talked about the woman who channeled Emmanuel. Right. Pat Rodriguez, I believe, is her name. Is that correct? Or was her name?
Rodriguez,
yeah, because you actually were friends with her while she was in a body.
Yes, I was. She was a dear, dear friend.
Oh, yeah, one of my heroes as well. She's just a lovely, lovely person. So what was she, because, you know, I've read her channeled material. Of course, I've never met her. And I know many of our listeners have read Emmanuel and Friends, the different variations of them. And so what was she like when she wasn't channeling?
Oh, she was adorable. She was the most fun person you could ever be with. What I loved about her, she was completely natural, and she loved life, and she was a player, and she laughed a lot. She had no airs whatsoever. She and I did a retreat in Assisi, Italy together.
Ah, how fun.
Which was fun just to go there, of course. And I'll tell you what I remember about the retreat. We had some great classes, but we ate ourselves. We just spent a lot of time eating great Italian food. And she said, let's go to this restaurant tonight. And I'm hungry. Let's go to this. And we went to a different restaurant every night. We had these classy, handsome waiters, and we had fine. I don't eat pasta much, but I did there. And we just kind of ate our way through Assisi. I know it sounds irreverent because
no, it sounds fantastic.
But she, you know, we just had so much fun, and she was very spiritual. She was so devoted to Emmanuel on such a pure channel. She loved her relationships with men. She had several husbands over the course of her life, and she just, you know, loved that aspect of life. And God bless her. She was as human as anybody gets and as divine as anybody gets. And she taught me that it's okay to be a human being. It's okay to love food. It's okay to love sex. It's okay to be on earth. And at the same time, she was channeling one of the highest beings I've ever heard. So what a great model, and that we're multidimensional beings and we can have it all.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I've always been curious about what she was like when she wasn't channeling. And I know that you need to get to your radio show because you're going to be on Hay House Live in about 8 minutes. So I know that you need to leave this show and go hang out with your other audience. And so we encourage people to, of course, tune into Hay House Radio and listen to Alan because I know it'll be wonderful and informative and blessed. And if you haven't read enough already, I highly recommend it. It made me laugh. And, of course, I'm going to go out and get that book you wrote 17 years ago, too. Are You as Happy as a Dog? Because that one sounds fantastic.
Send you one, too.
Oh, you are so sweet. Thank you. I would love to interview you again if you're up for it.
Sure, let's do it whenever the time's right.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Alan. I'm so grateful.
It's my honor. I love you, and I love your show, and thank you for all the service you're offering.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you to you. Blessings. Have a great time on your show in about 7 minutes.
Thank you, and aloha to you.
Aloha. Bye-bye.